I, Dr. Frederick Palance Barrymore, am about to embark upon a most controversial and somewhat dangerous experiment involving an exchange of the condition of our basic natures. Even as a child, I was intrigued and obsessed with the transformation of one state of being into another. After an endless series of trial and error, I finally found the definitive answer to my laborious endeavors, the actual mental and physical metamorphosis of the human being and his soul. Unfortunately, a grand poo-poo happened, and now I cannot transfer myself back to Dr. Barrymore. And I find I am trapped inside this creature-like being known as Igorro. 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 Welcome to the Igorro Show, and tonight we're going to talk about Dawn Post and feature 3 of the Dawn Post masks from the 1970s. So enjoy. Dr. Jekyll as Mr. Hyde. Pretty terrifying. Let's take it off its little holder here, because it's got those weird eyes. It freaks me out. Oh, look at that now. Oh, it's, you know, hasn't had enough sleep. It's like Alice Cooper with his eyes closed. This is a Bud Westmore mask. Although Bud really didn't do the work. Everybody else did. Maybe Jack Keevan did the work. But anyway, this was the Hyde mask that they used for Abbott Costello meets Dr. Jekyll as Mr. Hyde. That's the long title. Ed Parker was the stuntman who did all the stunts as Mr. Hyde. Boris Karloff played the doctor. Did a great job. But anyway, it's a beautiful mask. It's one of my better ones. It held out better than some of my other Dawn Post masks. Now, I did some of the hair work myself. I added hair to it because it was a little sparse. Because the one thing about Dawn Post masks, they were hand glued. So sometimes I think the people that worked on them got a little lazy, especially in the back. So I actually added crepe wool to this mask. And crepe wool is something that you can buy. It comes out really curly, and you get it wet and you stretch it and let it dry, and it comes out more non-curly. And that's what I glued onto the mask, is crepe wool. So that's my Dawn Post Hyde mask. Like I said, it's the one that's held out of all my Dawn Post masks the best, because I bought these masks in the 1970s, a billion years ago. Dr. Jekyll is Mr. Hyde. Teeth are hand painted. Now this one looks a little bit different because I actually added some crepe wool to it to give it more fullness. Because as I've said before, sometimes on the Dawn Post masks, they're a little scarce with gluing the hair, like down here, as you can see. You can see the different coloration from the crepe wool to the Dawn Post hair. This was also used in tarantula. For some reason, instead of doing the acromegalia disease, they used a couple of these type masks. Bud Westmore Studios. Jack Keevan and Chris Muller were the 2 that did most of the work. They probably sculpted these particular molds. The eyebrows you can see are Dawn Post. I actually touched up some of the line work. Someday I may come back and redo the work because it's a little shoddy. As you can see, the hairline, not the best. Looks like a bad toupee. Sorry, Mr. Hyde. You could push it over, though, to get a better look. But anyway, it's a brilliantly well-sculpted mask. And For some reason, and I don't know why, this particular Don Post mask held out way better than some of my other monster masks. Sadly, some of them are very bad shape. The Fly! From the original The Fly with David Hedison. Now this one is starting to decay. It's super, when these Don Post masks get old, they start to get very solid. They're non-flexible anymore. The latex stiffens up and begins to rot. So I can't move his little googly thing. That's gone. And as you can see, one of the antennae, gone. This one, glued here, can't really move it without it busting off. I actually repainted these gold. They used to be kind of a gold, but a different gold. And even that is starting to chip off. So this mask is, I've been through the ringer. Only because it's old. It's like 40 years old. It's old. So it's, you know, still with me. Can't take it off of the styrofoam head because it might break and I don't want to damage it. So if anybody knows how I can, you know, heal this mask, let me know. Write me on Igorro YouTube channel, please. But my thought is, I don't know, maybe there's some way you can heat it up or warm it up, but I think it's kind of, this is it. The Fly, from the movie The Fly. The gold has been repainted and it's still chipping as a little bit, as you can see. The antennae, gone. This one kind of stuck here. Afraid to move it too much because it break right off. The little thing right here, the little thing right there. It's kind of solidified. These masks, when they get old, they get very, they solidify, become very stiff and brittle. So you can't wear them anymore. And you certainly don't want to be moving them around too much. You don't even want to take them off the styrofoam heads. People are like, oh, you should have taken better care of them. I had these sealed in a crypt, away from the sun, were very well stuffed and preserved, and they proceeded to rot away anyway. It just happens, folks. There's nothing you can do about it. Like I said, some have maintained better than others. But this was a great mask when I first got it. It's so eerie. Really a cool mask. Again, another Don Post special. The Fly. You'll even notice there's a little bit of gold highlight in the hairs. The hairs are really well done here. There's little teeny pieces of hair, just like in the movie, and then it gets thicker as it goes back. You can see right here, for example, how it's stiffened up and curled up. If I try to force it down, it'll break right off. The Fly. This one, General Aldo, from Captain Company and Famous Monsters of Filmland, which is where I ordered all of my Don Post masks. Famous Monsters. Love Famous Monsters. It's so awesome. But this is General Aldo, and again, I ordered this in the 70s. So again, he's kind of solidified. He's become really hard. Can't move his nose. Don't want to, you know, break it or have it crumble. Did a good job gluing the hair on it. It was different. The Planet of the Apes masks were different than the other monster masks that Don Post did. These ones, they, instead of painting teeth, which was already in the mold of the mask, they added little teeth that they placed into the mask, which was kind of cool. And you can see they did that here, if you can see, I don't know. But the weird thing is, I actually ordered this mask, and they sent me Dr. Zaius by accident, which I'll show later. And we wrote them and said, you sent us the wrong one. And they're like, oh, sorry, keep it. We'll send you the other one, which is really sweet of them. You wouldn't find a company doing that now. If it was Amazon, now does it just say, oh, send it back. But these guys, in the old days, back in the 1800s, keep it and we'll send you General Aldo. So we kept it. So I have Dr. Zaius too. But again, hand glued, really nice work. I had some neighbors and they had kids that were littler than me. And I put on my General Aldo mask and I hid beside a car and the little girl was playing hide and seek or something, and she came running on the other side, and she was looking through the window, and I popped my head up. And you can actually move the mouth a little bit in those masks if you put a stocking cap on. So I'm like, and I'm looking through the window, and she's like, ah! She totally freaked out. She ran home, and then later on, her dad was saying, Igorro, because he knew I did it, and I was, you know, like, I was too embarrassed to come out and say, yeah, it was just me. So that poor little girl to this day is haunted by what I did with my Dawn Post General Aldo mask. The Planet of the Apes, General Aldo. This one again is damaged. You can see how crinkled up it is on the side here. Again, it just is a matter of it sitting for years and the rubber becoming very stiff and brittle. The unique thing about the Planet of the Apes masks, General Aldo here for example, is the teeth are different than the other Dawn Post masks. They're actually pieces that are inserted into the mask as opposed to just painting the teeth on the molding of the mask. In the original movie, of course, the actors' teeth were painted black to cover up their teeth, and then they put this section of the mask was the makeup, the foam latex piece they put on the actor's face, as well as these pieces up here, and then gluing on the hair. The hair for this particular Dawn Post mask, pretty well done. They did a pretty thorough job. Sometimes I think people were more thorough with putting it on the hair, which was hand glued. Other times not so much. You can see where it's glued there. I remember when I went to Dawn Post Studios as a little Igorro, there were a lot of, looked like housewives. They were smoking, drinking coffee, and they were hand gluing the hair on these masks. It was quite cool. Now masks, I think a lot of the time, they don't hand glue them anymore when they do make masks. Even the new Trick or Treat studio masks, which are really well done, don't have the quality of hair work that I would hope for. But this is General Aldo. And you can see he is coming a bit away at the seams. But initially when I first got this mask, it was a beauty. General Aldo. I ordered this mask from Captain Company, Famous Monsters of Filmland in the back. 40 bucks for a mask, 20 bucks for the hands. And they sent me Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius, by accident. And I wrote them and said, hey, I ordered the other one. And they're like, oh, keep Dr. Zaius and we'll send you General Aldo. Which was really cool of them. Love Dawn Post. So that's all for Dawn Post tonight. So take care and remember. Hey there, this is Cool Dude Ghoul. Igorro asked me to pull in for a truck stop, take a look at some of his masks. I said, that's cool. If that floats your boat, it floats my boat too. I got no problemo looking at the El Mascos. I don't know a lot about Igorro's masks. He said, why don't you do some of these baddies? And I said, that's cool, because I'm kind of bad. So I thought, yeah. The first one I want to show you is not a baddie, it's a goodie. Planet of the Apes. This is Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. We all know what that comes from, don't we? You can't help but say it every time you see him. But this is Dr. Zaius, and as he's told you before, I believe in the last short he did on Dawn Post, he got this one for free because they sent it to him. By mistake, he ordered General Aldo. Aldo? I don't think so. How about a little Dr. Zaius? And he was like, well, that's kind. And I thank you kindly, but no thank you. And they said, that's okay. We're cool. We made a mistake. We're Dawn Post Studios. We'll just send you General Aldo, and you can keep this one. So here he is now. He looks pretty good, but as you can see, he's got some damage because, again, these are very old masks. These are almost ancient masks in the sense that they're not new. And this one in particular has got some wear and tear right here. It's just starting to, obliterate a little bit. The old latex just ain't what she used to be, huh? And he's got some breakage here in his nose. So again, he's not really wearable anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm really afraid to take him off of his little styrofoam head. He's a totem pole. But there's only 2 toads on the pole. But they very carefully cut this brow really intricately, so they must have glued them on and then hand cut them. See, that's the thing you don't see in the new masks nowadays, is all this handwork. And again, they've got that special teeth. They didn't paint the teeth on the mask when it came out of the mold. They just put little teeth in there, glued it in. This again was one of those kind of masks where if you put on a stocking cap and put it on, when you moved your mouth, it would move too. It was pretty cool. Igorro told you already, I believe, that, you know, the actors, this was the part they glue on the foam latex piece on the actors in the Planet of the Apes, the original. And up here as well, and some of the cheap work. And then they would paint their real teeth black. And then they put this foam latex appliance over that. And so when these guys were eating, they had to eat with straws, or they had to look in mirrors to get the spoon in their mouth out to make sure they get the food in there. But Edward G. Robinson was originally going to play Dr. Zaius, which most people know. But then he fell ill. He started to feel not so good. So Maurice Evans took his place. And Maurice Evans was a smoker, so when he would smoke on break, he would take a cigarette holder and he'd put it in his mouth. And that way he could still smoke a cigarette without sticking the cigarette in there and going, oh, where is it? Oh, I burned my hand. Because it got lost in there and it fell down in here and it's in my jaw. Yowza! So he was careful. He took a cigarette holder to smoke his little toko. Now the next few masks I'm going to show you are don't let this happen to you masks. You put these masks away, you put them in the attic, you seal them up in a crypt. You don't touch them for years. Keep them out of the sun, don't handle them. But still, wow! This can happen to you. This mask, it's hard to explain to you what it used to look like because it just doesn't look like what it did. This mask looks like somebody squished some gum underneath, you know, a cafe table and then pulled it back out and said, this mask. This used to be an alien mask. He had I think it looked a lot like it was based on maybe an Outer Limits mask, one of the creatures in the Outer Limits. I'd have to look up which episode it was. I'm sure somebody out there knows. But it was an alien. It came all the way down to about here, and he had kind of a morph type of nose, and you know, he looked better than this. I'm at a loss on how Igorro could have preserved it better, honestly. So it used to open up in the back, but voila, that ain't happening. And again, I also apologize. I'm not even really sure if this is a done post mask, but I think it is. But I don't even think I need to do a close-up of this one. But here's the close-up. Ah! And here's another mask. Oh my gosh. What happened here? This one kind of looked like those masks in the Star Wars scene. With that playing the clarinet. It kind of looked like that, but he was a little bit different. He has the big old rump head, the big old butthole head. But butt heads were really big. I'm sorry, I can't believe I said that. Okay, here we go. Big butt heads. Butt heads were big. Buttheads were big. Okay, stop it. Stop it, man. It's not funny. Buttheads were popular. This was a butthead alien. He has kind of a butthead. You know, there's the butthead alien. Even Elephant Man, he kind of had a butthead. No offense again to the Elephant Man, but you can see it just kind of all sloshed apart, right? And again, I can't move it. This one's a little more flexible, but I don't want to take it off because it'll fall apart. It's already badly deteriorated, as you can see. Just really badly deteriorated. But it used to be a really cool mask. And this part up here, the butthead part, it's kind of, it was, it was kind of soft. Like a butt. Sorry. Deeply apologize. It was. It's butthead. Okay. This is another mask that I don't think needs a close-up because it's too painful. But, you know, even this butthead part, it used to be kind of soft. You could squeeze it like the shaman. It had some foam in it, I think. So it kind of, you could kind of squeeze it. You could kind of squeeze it, and that was nice. So anyway, it's a very, very sad case, but you know, there's really, again, I really am afraid to try to put him back up, to put his head back up where it belongs. I think that Igorro would be very angry at me because once they start deteriorating like this, you really can't do much. You just have to let it lie. Let it lie on its little buns, and there it is. And this one, this is the shrunken head. He doesn't remember where he got this one either. This one's, again, not a Don Post, I don't believe. And it's deteriorating again. It's, you know, it's like these masks have not been abused. They're just old. So, again, this one has almost a Yeti-like look. It's a shrunken head because it's got the little lip accoutrements, the old laces in the faces. But the mask itself, it looks like it's kind of the wig part is kind of a whole wig that they just glued right on. So there's no individual gluing of the layers of hair, the layering like they do on the Don Post. And it's appropriate. It works okay for this mask. It's kind of a scary looking mask. One thing the Don Post didn't do is they never put eyes in the masks. This one's got some really googly eyes, which is kind of cool. And then you can see the little slits above for peeking out. Thanks again for watching Cool Dude Ghoul, and I'd like to thank Igorro for letting me stay in his palatial mansion. It's a beautiful place. I love that stairwell. See it there? Yeah. Igorro fell down that one day. He said words I'd never heard him say. Ciao. Hello, it's me, Igorro. Welcome. This is part 3 of the Don Post masks. This is a beauty. This is the one that happened to Lon Chaney Jr. in around 1940, Universal's The Wolfman. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Don Post Wolfman mask. As you can see, it's not doing really well. This was the first one that I bought back in the 70s. So it is a bit corroded. I bought the hands too. I bought the Wolfman from Don Post in the back of Famous Monsters of Film and Magazine through Captain Company. I got the hands too. The hands, unfortunately, have completely rotted away. They've completely deteriorated. I had to throw them away. What was left of them that I had to throw away into little pieces? It was like a pile of dust with a little bit of fur on top. But I used to have this beauty in my little Igorro room when I was a little Igorro. I had a 6'4" statue that my father had built. And it had arms and a head, and I put this on the head, and I put these hands on the hands. And the cool thing is, one of these hands was loose. It would go like this. If you tap the back of it, so I'd have friends over. And then I'd get behind it, and I'd tap it, and they'd be like, "Ah!" Scared the poop out of them. It was so cool. But unfortunately, time passes, and things get deteriorated. But this is the Don Post Wolfman mask. I'll show some of the detail. You can see they did an excellent job gluing it. As usual, they get a little sparse in the back. You know, it depends on the mask. Some of these were glued better than others, but they were all hand glued. I say that a lot, but that's the thing they don't do anymore. Look at that little dust on top. But this was a beauty. This was the first one I ordered. I was hoping to see Lon Chaney Jr.'s Wolfman head in a box. So I also touched up the teeth. I painted them with a little stronger paint because the paint was a little faint. Because these teeth are hand painted right in there. And yeah, as you can see, there's some damage up in here. So it's really was a really nice sculpted hair applied mask. It also has the ears, the little pointy ears. It's so cool. I've seen some refabricated Don Post studio masks, and I really like the mask from Abbott Costello 1948 meets Abbott Costello meets Frankenstein. That Wolfman mask, that's one of the Wolfman styles that Lon Chaney Jr. Wore that I found particularly appealing. I really liked the look of that Wolfman. I would love to get that mask. I liked how the hair came more up into the face in here, which even in the original Wolfman it did too, but of course Don Post, they started it right here. They didn't bring it in a little bit, a little further in. And also, like I said before, these masks, the different years, just like cars, they came out with different models. This came out the same year as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and their hair quality is exactly the same. So there it is. It's so lovely. Phantom of the Opera. Lon Chaney Sr. Way back in 1925. This one, as you can see, Wonka Jog. What happened to it? Looks like somebody poof, punched it. I didn't punch it, I swear I didn't. I don't know what happened to it. Like I said before, I put these away in storage. I got a little phantom hair in my mouth. I put these away a long time ago, but you can see this one really got deteriorated and they seem to implode. They fold inward, and this one, he really does have some old ugliness now. This one I actually bought at Don Post Studios. At the studio in Glendale, California. I was at Igorro, and I walked through the hall again. I've told this story before. I even saw Don Post in his office. He just hung up on the phone. He didn't jucka. And I saw him, I was like, ah, I panicked. But I didn't say hi to him, but I wanted to. He looked really friendly, like he would have easily said hi. But they took me on a quick tour. I saw Godzilla hanging in the rafters where they mold things. Saw a bunch of ladies smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, gluing the hair on. They take the hair and they glue it on with like a fork or a knife, and they put it on and they let it dry. I watched them for a while. And this one was hand glued too, and as you can see, gazauza, something's happened to the glue. You can see the brown spots. That's the glue coming through, I believe. I don't know what it is, to be honest. It's happening there too. This mask was, again, hand painted. They really replicated Eric's teeth perfectly, just like in the film. The hair's a different color, it's gray. I think the Phantom's hair was actually black. Of course, it's black and white film, but it works for this. Again, very strange, the coloring there. And again, just badly damaged. Can't take them off of their styrofoam heads because they're so brittle. This one is really just sadly falling apart. As a matter of fact, a chunk fell off as I was taking it out of my cupboard to bring it down to show you. So this one, again, is really not in great shape. But this is a 70s Phantom mask. I love it. Yeah, that's about it for this one. I don't know why he has such a funny nose. I know that Lon Chaney actually put hooks in his nose that went back and attached to his wig. And he also put some kind of wire, like a round spectacle in his eye to make his eyes bulge, which if it went the wrong way, could have cut his eyeball. So the guy was a little nuts, but he sacrificed his art for the terror of the Phantom of the Opera. My last mask is Timberwolf. Now this one is interesting because at one point Don Post decided to just do some masks that weren't from films. Timberwolf is not from a film, at least not one I've seen, although the Wolfman is very familiar looking. This one they went really generous with the hair. Look at all the beautiful hair. This one has really got the hair. I was very pleased when I got this mask because it has such fine hand-glued hair work. I'm big on the hair work. You like my hair? I'm doing the 3-pointer now on my head. Anyway, yeah. Now the glue, you can see, is kind of yellowed a bit, and it's starting to show up. It never looked this way when I first got the mask. I took some pictures from this years ago, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to find them again. But this, they did a really nice job painting the teeth, and the tongue, and the work is really nice. It's deteriorating, but not as badly, but still very brittle. Can't really take it off the mask holder, the styrofoam head. But this is the Timberwolf, and this is an awesome wolf mask. So that's my second Wolfman mask from Don Post Studios. So I'll see you soon for my next episode of Igorro Short. The Mole People Mask. Now, Don Post had a Mole People mask, and the cool thing about the Don Post masks were that they had the option of also getting the hands. So you could get the Don Post hands and the Don Post mask. But now, Trick or Treat, which has kind of taken over Don Post's position in mask making, they only offer the mask. The original Mole People mask in the movie was also made by the same guy who did the creature from the Black Lagoon. He also did the monster from Piedros Blancos. But if you notice in the monster from Piedros Blancos, the hands are the exact same hands. That Jack Keevan, the actual creator, it wasn't Bud Westmore. He was the one who credited in all the films, but it was actually Jack Keevan. The Mole People mask. Take a look at that. That is a beautiful mask. There's the side, the back. You know, the side looks pretty much the same on the other side. But that is the Mole People mask that I got from Trick or Treat. And I've kind of gotten sleepers from Trick or Treat. I get the ones that most people are like, I don't even know what that is. So that's why I'm kind of re-educating all you new school people talking about Hellraiser Part 48 or the new Monsters film stuff. Yeah, we'll get to those. But I'm talking old school. And this is a beautiful mask. It's really well done. It freaked out my daughter. She's like, I don't like that mask. I'm like, that's because it's spooky. Now, I don't know exactly if, you know, this looks like what a mole looks like. I always thought moles kind of had little eyes because, you know, they're digging in the dirt. So they you know, they don't have the big googly eyes because, man, all that dirt would get in your eyes, you know. So, but this is very much really good reproduction from, for the Mole People. And in the film, the mask has a little, this thing kind of moves a little, it's got that stuff going on, you know. So the thing about Trick or Treat masks is I think they do really good work. I love their Creature from the Black Lagoon mask. It's a beauty. It's I think it's actually a Jack Keevan original mold, and I'll show you that one later. And you've seen it before in another short I did. But I really like the ones that don't have hair. The difference between Don Post hair and the Trick or Treat hair work is that Don Post hand glued all the hair on. I went down there to check it out, and I saw a bunch of housewives glued on the hair. They're like smoking and drinking coffee and but they're hand gluing the hair, right? And Trick or Treat, they don't hand glue it. They may glue it, but they use kind of a whole matte process where they just kind of stick it on. And especially one like the Wolfman, I think the Wolfman is a really tricky one because there's a lot of detail in the hair work. And I love the way some people have it custom made, where they get a Don Post or they get a mask from Trick or Treat, a Wolfman mask, and then they have somebody else glue the hair on. And that's the way to do it. But I've gotten some cool ones, and Trick or Treat does an awesome job. And this Mole People is a really cool mask. I believe the Don Post version of this mask, they had a little bit of fur on this, but I'm not really sure because, as I said, I never really got the mask. I never had one in my hands. I only saw the pictures from Famous Monsters magazine, which I have the entire collection of, by the way. Anyway, so that is the Trick or Treat Mole People mask. Don't really know what else I could say about it. They've done some really nice work here. The painting work, really well done. They got a nice kind of a brush, a clear brush, kind of a wash going over the eyes, giving it kind of a red, eerie look. This is the Mole People mask. So that is what we got going on there. Very, very cool mask. Hello, it's me, Igorro. I wanted to talk quickly about an influence in the 50s called the shock mask. Ah! This is a mask. This one's by Trick or Treat. It hasn't been properly stored, so it's a little soft on the side here. It's kind of sinking in a bit. But this is the Trick or Treat shock mask. Take a good look at it. The shock mask was something that was made by, I believe, Topstone was the first one to make shock masks. I'm going to post up a couple of the pictures of the shock mask. But it was very popular in the 50s. And as a matter of fact, if you see the film Frankenstein's Daughter, which is on Igorro, by the way, episode 1, please watch. Oh, and subscribe to my channel, for gosh sakes, come on, do it. The shock mask was a shocking mask. And in that time, it was almost too much to do on in films. But there is a moment in Frankenstein's Daughter where Dr. Frank, who's actually, he's an ancestor of Dr. Frankenstein. He's kind of a dork, really. But he starts feeding this potion, this chemical, to this poor girl. And she turns into this horrifying monster. And she runs out of the house, and she is hiding in the bushes. And they have a flashlight, and they show it. They show her, and she is wearing what is typically a shock mask, which is exactly that look, that rubber, one eye poking out mask. So the shock mask had a very significant symbolism for the rubber masks in the 1950s, because they weren't allowed to show too much gore in science fiction films, although they showed more than we realize. There are moments when they show body parts, like again in Frankenstein's Daughter, and the brain that wouldn't die. It's got some graphic moments, but they're all shot in black and white. So the shock mask was a chance to enrich things with color. It was one of the things that started the whole rubber mask, phenomena. And that's also when Frankenstein's monster became a green-colored creature. Because before that, of course, he was always black and white, and he always looked pale and ghostly, like a bluish-greenish, or a bluish-whitish color. He never looked green until Don Post made a mask, which I used to have, actually. My dad bought one back in the 60s, which was green. And that started that whole green-looking mask. So, kudos for Trick or Treat, who make a variety of masks, but that's what the shock mask was about. It was shocking. The old shock mask. In the 1950s, this started it all.